how does the enterprise of Giggr unfold for its customers and consumers?
Individuals in 5 segments: the Gen A, the Gen Z, and then the Y, X, and baby boomers.
Right.
And the future of workforce clearly is the 10 to 18 and the 18 to 25. The 10 to 18, we prepare them for the future. The 18 to 25, we realign them for the future. And these two together, they create a compelling business case, if you may, for the other 3 segments, which is the millennials and the Gen X and the baby boomers, to transform so that they can align and they can live in harmony. You know, while we are addressing this from a segment point of view, and as I said, the platform of Giggr will impact every sphere of life.
Right.
So we are starting from the sphere of sports. Why? Because we realized that it has the least resistance. There is a very clear articulation of aspiration if you talk to a 10 to 18-year-old anywhere in the world. They want to be the next Messi, they want to be the next Ronaldo, they want to be the next Sachin Tendulkar. There is no mistaking of the aspiration. But the essence is, when you aspire to become something, it's not enough if you aspire. For example, someone like you want to be the next Julia Roberts. But it's not enough if you aspire. You have to have a definite time period.
Right.
Sachin Tendulkar, for example, made his debut at the age of 16 for India. Messi played, for Barcelona when he was 16. So it is a very critical age when you are able to bring in that discipline. Now, for example, if you go to a violin maestro, okay, let's say, and ask him, you want to learn violin. At the age of 30, he might teach you violin, but you will never be able to get the expertise that you could probably have when you started at 3.
Definitely.
You might then play it for your personal pleasure. But the reason why is very simple. Physiologically, your fingers will not bend and be able to play it. Your physical nerves will not hold there.
Yeah.
And this happens to be, so basically when in any part of life, there is this aspect of physiological, psychological, emotional, and then the endurance, dexterity, speed. So these are all things that combine to basically what you call talent. It doesn't drop from heaven. So talent is something that, for example, you automatically get soaked in. And then you want to be able to execute it. Yeah. So there is that thinking and there is that execution that needs to come together. Our customers are both individuals and enterprises.
Right.
In the sphere of sports. So we have a 5-step process, which is creation of data. So I talked about the different aspects that basically enable a talent to transform. You need to be able to understand this data.
Right.
This basically composes your approach.
Right.
You create that aspiration, which is your desired state, and then you analyze what is your current state. When you do that, we create a compass. The compass is basically one that enables you to walk through the twists and turns that life throws at you. Whereas a straight line is just a straight line, and so it has 2 coordinates. So it's not as simple as that, getting to the desired state from the status quo. But you have to be able to find within that limitations of time and economy.
Right.
To say, I got there. When you get there, your aspiration shifts to next thing. Right. The first thing is to be the next Sachin Tendulkar, make a debut for India at 16. But then once you get there, he has scored X number of centuries. He has, Usain Bolt has a world record. How do you cross that chasm? If you run today at, for example, 11 seconds or 12 seconds, and the world record is at a 8 point some nanosecond. So crossing that chasm, today's athlete, has beaten a world record. Okay? And while Usain Bolt might have taken, let's say, 3 years to master, say, 0.3 seconds, this person might have taken 6 months. Now your challenge is how do you lessen that time even further? So this is a constantly evolving metric, if you may, And this evolving metric is basically what is showing you your growth path. Did you conquer 0.1 second in 2 weeks? If you conquered 0.1 seconds in 2 weeks, can you now do it? Can you do 0.2? So you're trying to push the envelope. And in trying to push that envelope, you have to record the data. You can't talk abstract. You can't keep talking theory. A great sports person like Rahul Dravid, okay, he is undoubtedly one of India's great batters, right? It took him so long to break into the Indian team and then remain at the top.
That's true.
Right? Once he has retired, now he finds himself, because of his articulation, because of his understanding of the game, to remain in the sport and to serve it in different capacities. He has been able to bring that discipline into his life and his sport.
That's so true.
For every Rahul Dravid, there are 1,000 examples of people who have frittered away their talent, people who have frittered away their opportunity. And there are millions who don't get that opportunity. What Giggr is trying to do is bring that influence and create more people out of the system, whether they are inclusive or not inclusive in the digital part of the framework. Our technology that is built is device, channel, and medium independent. The device independence basically brings, is not a fancy technology that we talk about. Is to me a person who is in Kohima, who is talented in whichever sphere of life, should not be content just because he doesn't speak English, or just because he doesn't have access to to an infrastructure that is in a city. So it connects that person, okay, through natural language processing, through computer vision, and through, these are all the technologies that basically go in, through digital identity management, through intelligent process automation, through serving him with microservices. When he creates the data, when she creates the data, to be able to connect them to their ecosystem. And that creation of ecosystem should then be contextualized to personalization. And that personalization should basically move into preferentiation, which is moving from curation to contextualization. And finally, that is when you're able to collaborate. So we live a life today that is essentially built on sharing and collaboration. This is not a new concept. When Wordsworth said that, it takes a village to raise a child, he truly meant it. Even today, that concept has not changed. It does take a village to raise a child. And that raising a child by a village is the sharing and collaboration. And the only thing that has changed is that village that we call today is a global village. Okay? And internet is basically the global village square where people come together and they gossip and they work together and they create work products and they go back home and they enjoy a life which is a contented way of living a higher quality of life. So we are trying to bring this gradation through sport, and some will be successful in sport and we want to see more people get that opportunity, and some may not succeed in just playing the game. But there are multiple things that you can do. When you take a subject like sport, you can be a coach, you can be a trainer, you can be a nutritionist, you can be. So this is the ecosystem, and you can do work that has meaning for you. Imagine somebody who spends 16, 18 years in sports and suddenly is forced to go and work in a bank. Or take someone like you, a successful actor, who for whatever economic reason, should happen to go and work in a technology company. So I think that it is finding meaning to your work and being able to contribute meaningfully.
Right.
Okay, so we found that sports is basically the way in which we could bring this aspect of transformation, and then the same people, whether they are successful or not, segueing them into different aspects of life where that discipline continues.
Right.
Whether you want to be a player, whether you want to be a sportscaster, whether you want to be a nutritionist, this sense of excellence should never be lost. So we do everything on a scale. We do on a scale of 0 to 5, which is, it starts with innocence, it moves to awareness, from awareness it moves to understanding, from understanding it you have a very clear definition of what you want to do, and that definition leads to competence, and that competence leads to excellence.
Wow.
So the idea is, in any sphere of life, how can you walk this innocence to excellence continuously?